There is a reason your eyes landed here, and it is not random. It is not coincidence. It is not just another video passing through your day. No, this is a divine interruption. And right now, in this very moment, something in your spirit already feels it. That quiet pull, that unexplainable pause, that inner voice whispering, "Pay attention, this matters." He is speaking. And he is not speaking to everyone. He is speaking to you. Archangel Michael stands at the edge of your tomorrow, not with fear, but with urgency. His presence is not distant. He is near. Closer than you think. Closer than you've ever realized. And his message carries a weight that cannot be ignored, because what happens tomorrow morning will not be ordinary. You've had mornings before. Rushed mornings. Tired mornings. Mornings where you woke up and immediately reached for your phone, scrolling, thinking, reacting, repeating the same patterns without even realizing it. You had mornings where your mind filled with worry before your feet even touched the ground. Mornings where you carried yesterday's stress into today's opportunity. And you thought it's just another day. But what if it's not? What if tomorrow morning is different? What if tomorrow morning is a doorway and one small mistake could close it before you even step through? Feel that. Because something is shifting. Right now, as you listen, there is movement in the unseen. There is alignment happening behind the scenes of your life. Doors are being prepared. Opportunities are forming. Protection is being assigned. But there is also resistance. There is also opposition. And that opposition is not loud, it is subtle. It hides in habits. It hides in routine. It hides in the very first thing you choose to do when you wake up. That's why Michael speaks now. Not later. Not after the mistake. But before it. Because you have been chosen to be aware. You have been chosen to be alert. You have been chosen to break a pattern that others continue without question. Think about it. How many times have you felt like something bigger was meant for you, but somehow it slipped through your fingers? How many times did you feel close to a breakthrough, only to find yourself pulled back into the same cycle? The same mindset. The same distractions. The same energy draining your purpose before it even begins. That is not accidental. That is strategic. And tomorrow morning that strategy will try again. But this time, you've been warned. This time, you are not walking in blind. This time, heaven has stepped in front of your routine and said, "Stop. Listen. Do not repeat what has been holding you back." Because the truth is, the enemy doesn't need to destroy your entire day, he only needs your first moment. Your first thought. Your first decision. That is where the seed is planted. That is where direction is set. That is where either clarity begins or confusion takes over. And most people, they never realize it. They wake up and they fall right into it. But not you. Not this time. Because Archangel Michael has already gone ahead of you. He has already seen what tries to greet you in the morning. He has already identified the trap hidden in something that feels completely normal. And now, he is calling you to awareness. Calling you to stillness. Calling you to preparation. You are not here by accident. You are here because your spirit is ready to receive what others ignore. You are here because something inside you refuses to stay asleep any longer. You are here because tomorrow matters more than you realize. So listen closely, because what you do in the first moments of your morning will echo through the rest of your life in ways you cannot yet see. And in the next part, Archangel Michael will reveal what is about to shift, and why tomorrow morning holds more power than any morning before it. Type "I am ready" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1010 is now activated around you. There is something about tomorrow morning that is not like the others, and deep within you, there is already a stirring you cannot fully explain. It feels subtle, almost easy to ignore, yet it carries a weight that presses gently against your spirit as if something unseen is leaning in, waiting for your response. Archangel Michael is not speaking out of routine or repetition. He is speaking because a shift hath been scheduled in your life, and that shift is tied to a moment so small, so ordinary, that most people would overlook it without hesitation. But you are not most people. You have been positioned at the edge of something sacred, something precise, something that requires your awareness before the sun even fully rises. You may wake up tomorrow expecting the same rhythm, the same thoughts, the same patterns that have followed you for so long. Your body may move automatically. Your mind may try to replay yesterday, and your environment may feel unchanged. But what you cannot see is that the atmosphere around you will not be the same. There is movement already taking place in the spiritual realm, aligning circumstances, shifting energy, and preparing a pathway that did not exist before. This is not about luck or coincidence. This is about divine timing meeting human action, and the intersection of those two will determine what unfolds next in your life. For so long, you have felt like something has been building, like a breakthrough was close but never fully arriving. You have sensed doors that almost opened, opportunities that nearly came through, clarity that seemed just within reach but never stayed. That feeling was not false. It was preparation. It was the quiet assembling of something greater than what you could see, and now that preparation is reaching a critical point. Tomorrow morning is not just another start to a day. It is a threshold. It is a gateway where what has been forming in silence begins to move into reality. Archangel Michael reveals that this moment carries a dual nature. It holds both opportunity and opposition. There is something ready to be released into your life, something that carries progress, clarity, and movement forward. At the same time, there is something that will attempt to interfere, to distort, to pull you back into the same cycle that has delayed you before. This is why the warning is urgent. Not because you are in danger, but because you are at a turning point. And turning points require awareness, not autopilot. You have lived through cycles where your mornings dictated your outcomes without you even realizing it. The way you started your day shaped your energy, your focus, your decisions, and ultimately your results. It happened so naturally that it felt normal, but what felt normal was quietly limiting what was possible for you. Tomorrow morning breaks that pattern, but only if you recognize it. Only if you choose differently. Only if you understand that the smallest shift in your beginning can unlock a completely different ending. There is a reason this message reached you before the moment arrived. Heaven does not interrupt without purpose. Heaven prepares. And right now, you are being prepared for a shift that requires intention. What is about to change is not just external circumstances, but your alignment with them. The same opportunity placed in front of two people can lead to completely different outcomes depending on their state of mind, their awareness, and their response in the first moments they encounter it. You are being called to meet this moment with clarity instead of confusion, with stillness instead of reaction, with purpose instead of habit. Feel the importance of this. Because what happens tomorrow morning will set a tone that extends far beyond a single day. It will ripple into your decisions, your interactions, your opportunities, and even the way others respond to you. This is how subtle shifts create powerful transformations. Not through loud, dramatic events, but through quiet moments that redirect your path without you fully realizing it at first. And by the time you look back, everything has changed. Archangel Michael stands as a guardian over this moment, not to control your actions, but to warn you of their impact. He sees what is ahead. He sees the opening that is forming for you. He also sees the familiar pattern that has tried to keep you from stepping into it. And now, he places the choice in your hands. You can move into tomorrow as you always have, repeating what feels comfortable, or you can step into it with awareness, breaking what has been holding you back and aligning yourself with what is ready to unfold. You are closer than you think, closer to clarity, closer to movement, closer to a change that has been delayed for too long. But closeness requires action. It requires intention. It requires that you understand the power of the moment you are about to enter. Tomorrow morning is not just the beginning of a day. It is the beginning of a shift. Type "I step into the shift" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2020 is now surrounding you. Here is a mistake so small, so ordinary, that most people would never recognize it as the very thing holding them back. It does not appear dangerous. It does not feel destructive. In fact, it feels normal, familiar, almost comforting. And that is exactly why it has gone unnoticed for so long. Archangel Michael speaks with urgency now because this mistake is not loud. It is silent. It happens in seconds. It hides in routine. And tomorrow morning, it will be waiting for you the moment you open your eyes. The mistake is this: reacting before aligning. The moment you wake up, there is a window, a sacred space between sleep and full awareness where your spirit is most open, most receptive, most connected. But instead of honoring that space, most people fill it instantly. They reach for their phone. They check messages. They scroll through noise. They allow external voices to rush in before their own spirit has had a chance to speak. And in doing so, they surrender control of their day before it has even begun. This is not just a habit. This is an opening. And not every opening is meant for light. Archangel Michael reveals that in those first moments, there is a battle over your attention. Not a dramatic battle, not something you can see with your eyes, but a subtle shift in direction. Because whatever captures your focus first begins to shape your thoughts. And your thoughts begin to shape your emotions. And your emotions begin to shape your decisions. And before you realize it, your entire day has been influenced by something you never consciously chose. Think about how many mornings have started this way. You wake up, and before your feet touch the ground, your mind is already elsewhere. You are pulled into someone else's world, someone else's urgency, someone else's energy. You begin reacting instead of leading. You begin absorbing instead of directing. And by the time you try to center yourself, the moment has already passed. This is the mistake. And it has cost you more than you realize. Because what you thought was just a routine has actually been a pattern. A pattern that quietly disconnects you from clarity, from purpose, from alignment. A pattern that keeps you one step behind the very breakthrough you have been seeking. Not because you are unworthy, not because you are not ready, but because you have been starting your days in reaction instead of intention. Archangel Michael warns you now because tomorrow morning holds a shift, and this mistake will try to intercept it. It will appear the same way it always has. It will feel harmless. It will feel automatic. Your hand may even reach out without you thinking, drawn by habit, pulled by routine. But in that moment, you must recognize what is happening. You are being tested. Not in a way meant to harm you, but in a way meant to reveal whether you are ready to step into what has been prepared for you. Because the truth is, the enemy does not need to control your entire day. He only needs to influence your beginning. If he can disrupt your alignment in the first moments, everything that follows becomes easier to distort. Your focus weakens. Your clarity fades. Your energy shifts. And the opportunity that was meant to meet you finds you unprepared to receive it. But when you understand this, everything changes. When you become aware of the power of your first moments, you reclaim authority over your day. You decide what enters your mind. You choose what shapes your thoughts. You align yourself before anything else has the chance to pull you away. And in doing so, you step into a different flow, a flow that is guided, intentional, and protected. Tomorrow morning, the mistake will still be there. The distraction. But you will not be the same. You will see it for what it is. You will recognize the pattern. And in that recognition, you will have the power to choose differently. This is not about perfection. It is about awareness. It is about pausing instead of reacting. It is about creating space instead of filling it. It is about allowing your spirit to lead before the world begins to speak. Because in that pause, in that stillness, in that intentional beginning, something powerful happens. Clarity emerges. Direction forms. Peace settles. And you step into your day not as someone being pulled, but as someone moving with purpose. Archangel Michael has already warned you. The mistake has been exposed. The pattern has been revealed. Now the choice becomes yours. Tomorrow morning, you will either repeat what has been or you will step into what is waiting. And that decision will happen in seconds. Type "I choose alignment" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 3030 is now activated around your spirit. As this truth settles into your spirit, understand this: every moment of awakening you experience is not meant to stay with you alone. It is meant to flow through you and reach others who are still searching in the dark. When you sow into this mission through Super Thanks or PayPal, you are not supporting a channel. You are igniting a light that pierces through confusion in someone else's life. The word declares, "Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days," and this is that moment where your seed becomes someone's breakthrough. I feel led to say this clearly. Your action right now is not small. It is spiritual alignment with a greater purpose. As this message has warned you not to miss your moment, do not miss this opportunity to become part of what heaven is doing through these words. Every gift you release becomes a ripple of truth, a voice of clarity, a divine interruption in someone else's storm. Step into obedience now and give through the PayPal link in the description or the QR code on your screen. And as you give, may your own life be filled with the same clarity, protection, and divine alignment being released through this message. There are things you see, and then there are things you don't realize you're seeing. This is where the danger lies. Not in the obvious distractions, not in the loud chaos, but in the quiet, unnoticed patterns that slip past your awareness and shape your reality without permission. Archangel Michael is revealing something deeper now, something many never come to understand. The greatest distractions are not the ones that feel wrong, they are the ones that feel normal. You wake up, and everything seems familiar. The same room, the same routine, the same sequence of actions that you have repeated so many times it feels automatic. But what you cannot see is that hidden within that familiarity are blind spots, spiritual blind spots, that have been quietly influencing your direction day after day. These blind spots are not accidents. They are designed. They are positioned at the very beginning of your day because that is where your guard is lowest and your spirit is most open. Archangel Michael speaks with clarity. The enemy does not always attack through force. He distracts through subtlety. He doesn't need to overwhelm you if he can misdirect you. And the easiest way to misdirect you is to keep you unaware of what is actually happening. Think about how quickly your mind fills in the morning. Before you even consciously decide what to think, thoughts begin to appear. Worries, responsibilities, conversations from yesterday, expectations for today. These thoughts feel like your own, but not all of them originate from you. Some are echoes of patterns you have repeated. Some are seeds planted from previous days, and some are distractions designed to pull your focus away from what truly matters. This is the blind spot. Because you do not question what feels familiar, you accept it. And in accepting it, you allow it to lead you. Archangel Michael reveals that these blind spots operate like filters. They shape how you see your day before it even begins. If your first thoughts are rushed, your day feels rushed. If your first thoughts are anxious, your day feels heavy. If your first thoughts are distracted, your focus becomes scattered. And because this happens so quickly, you rarely pause to ask yourself why. But tomorrow morning, you must. Because awareness breaks the pattern. You have been moving through mornings without realizing that your perception is being guided before you consciously take control. It is not that you are weak. It is not that you lack discipline. It is that you have been unaware of how early the influence begins. And once something shapes your perception, it becomes much harder to redirect it later. This is why Archangel Michael is bringing this to your attention now. Not to alarm you, but to awaken you. Because once you see the blind spot, it can no longer control you. There is another layer to this that you must understand. These distractions are not always negative in appearance. Sometimes they come disguised as urgency. You feel the need to check something immediately. You feel pulled to respond, to react, to engage before you have even centered yourself. It feels important in the moment, but it is actually pulling you away from alignment. It is shifting your attention outward before you have had the chance to anchor inward. And once your attention is outward, it becomes scattered. This is how the enemy operates in subtlety. He does not need to introduce something new if he can amplify what is already there. He uses your habits, your routines, your automatic responses. He works within what feels comfortable because comfort is rarely questioned. And what is not questioned continues. But you are no longer in that state. You are being shown what others overlook. You are being given clarity where there was once assumption. And with that clarity comes responsibility. Tomorrow morning, when those familiar patterns begin to rise, you will feel them. You will notice the pull, the urge to move quickly, the impulse to react, the quiet pressure to fill the silence before you have even acknowledged it. That is the moment of awareness. That is the moment where everything can change. Because now you have a choice. You can follow the pattern or you can break it. Breaking it will feel unfamiliar at first. It will require stillness where there was once movement. It will require intention where there was once automatic behavior. But in that shift, something powerful happens. Your perception clears. Your focus sharpens. Your energy stabilizes. And you begin to move through your day with awareness instead of assumption. Archangel Michael stands as a witness to this moment, not forcing your decision, but revealing its importance. He sees the blind spots that have shaped your past mornings. He sees how they have influenced your outcomes. And he also sees the opportunity now placed before you. The opportunity to move differently, to see clearly, to step into alignment before anything else has the chance to distract you. This is not about changing everything at once. It is about recognizing the beginning. Because when the beginning shifts, everything that follows begins to change with it. Tomorrow morning, the blind spots will still be there, but you will not be blind to them anymore. and that awareness is where your power begins. Type "My eyes are open" in the comments if you receive this message. Lesson code 4040 is now surrounding your awareness. While you rest, something else is awake. While your body lies still, your mind quiet, your eyes closed to the natural world, there is movement happening beyond what you can see. This is the part most people never consider. They believe the day begins when they wake up, but Archangel Michael reveals a deeper truth. Your day is already in motion long before your eyes ever open. The real preparation, the real positioning, the real battle begins in the unseen hours before sunrise. You may not remember your dreams. You may not recall the thoughts that passed through your mind in the night. But your spirit was not inactive. It was engaged. It was processing, receiving, filtering, and in some cases, even resisting what tried to attach itself to your atmosphere. Because night is not just for rest. It is also a window where influence moves quietly, where seeds are planted without noise, where impressions are formed without your conscious awareness. Archangel Michael speaks with authority here. Not everything that reaches you during the night is meant to stay with you in the morning. This is why some mornings feel heavier than others. You wake up and cannot explain why your energy feels different. You feel a subtle weight, a quiet tension, a sense of unease that has no clear source. You try to shake it off, to move past it, but it lingers just enough to influence how you begin your day. That is not random. That is residue. Residue from thoughts, from dreams, from spiritual activity that occurred while you were unaware. Now understand this clearly. This is not meant to create fear. It is meant to bring awareness. Because once you understand that something is happening before you wake, you begin to realize why your first moments are so important. You are not starting from zero when you wake up. You are stepping into something that has already been set in motion. And this is where the battle continues. Because when you wake up, there are two directions waiting for you. One pulls you back into whatever residue was left behind. The other pulls you into clarity, into alignment, into a reset that clears everything that does not belong. But if you move too quickly, if you rush into your routine without awareness, you carry that residue forward without even realizing it. This is how cycles repeat. This is how days begin heavy and stay heavy. This is how clarity gets delayed before it even has a chance to form. Archangel Michael stands in this moment as a protector, not just of your actions, but of your awareness. He sees what tries to linger from the night. He sees what attempts to follow you into your day. And he is warning you now so that you do not unknowingly carry what was never meant to stay. Think about how many times you have woken up and immediately stepped into motion. No pause, no stillness, no moment to clear your mind or check your spirit. You simply moved forward, assuming that everything you felt was your own, assuming that your state was normal, assuming that nothing needed to be shifted. But tomorrow morning must be different. Because tomorrow morning, you will understand that you are stepping into a continuation, not a beginning. And that changes everything. There is a reason why clarity feels strongest when you are still. There is a reason why peace settles when you pause. It is because in that stillness, you separate what is yours from what is not. You give your spirit the space to reset, to realign, to release anything that tried to attach itself while you were unaware. But if you skip that moment, if you rush past it, you lose that opportunity. And what was temporary becomes carrying. This is the battle before sunrise. Not a loud conflict, not something visible, but a quiet exchange of influence. Something tries to settle, and something else tries to clear. Something tries to linger, and something else tries to release. and your awareness in the morning determines which one says. Archangel Michael is not asking you to fight in fear. He is calling you to stand in awareness, to recognize that your morning is not just about starting your day, but about clearing your space, your mind, your direction before anything else takes hold. Because when you begin your day from a place of clarity, everything shifts. Your thoughts become sharper. Your emotions become steady. Your decisions become intentional. And the opportunities prepared for you are met with readiness instead of confusion. You are not just waking up tomorrow. You are stepping into a moment where something has already been decided, already been influenced, already been set into motion. And now, you have the power to determine how you meet it. Archangel Michael stands watch, not over your sleep, but over your awakening. Because that is where your authority returns. That is where your awareness activates. That is where the shift truly begins. Tomorrow morning, do not rush past that moment. Do not ignore what you feel. Do not carry what does not belong. Because what happens before sunrise is waiting to be either released or repeated. And this time, you will know the difference. Type "I wake with clarity" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 5050 is now activated over your mornings. The moment you open your eyes tomorrow morning, something powerful will already be waiting for you, not outside of you, but within you. Before you speak a word, before you move your body, before you touch anything around you, your mind will begin to form thoughts. White at first, subtle, almost automatic, and yet those first thoughts will carry more power than you have ever realized. Archangel Michael is revealing this now because this is where the gateway opens, either to blessing or to blockage. You have been taught to focus on actions, on what you do throughout the day, on the visible decisions that shape your life. But what you have not fully seen is that every action is born from a thought. And the first thoughts of your morning are like seeds planted into the soil of your day. Whatever is planted first begins to grow first. Whatever grows first begins to take space. And whatever takes space begins to influence everything that follows. This is why those first thoughts matter so deeply. Because they are not random. They are directional. Think about how easily your mind can drift the moment you wake up. One thought leads to another. A memory from yesterday turns into a worry about today. A small concern becomes a larger weight. Before you even realize it, your mind has created a narrative, a direction, a feeling that begins to shape your entire morning. And once that direction is set, it becomes difficult to shift it later. Archangel Michael speaks clearly. The enemy does not need to control your entire mind. He only needs to influence your first thought. Because the first thought opens the door. If the first thought is heavy, everything begins to feel heavy. If the first thought is rushed, everything begins to feel urgent. If the first thought is distracted, your focus becomes scattered. And once that pattern begins, it builds momentum. You move through your day reacting to what was planted in those first few seconds, often without realizing where it began. But tomorrow morning, you will not be unaware. You will recognize that moment. You will feel the space between waking and thinking. And in that space, you will have a choice. Because not every thought that enters your mind belongs there. Some are echoes of yesterday. Some are habits your mind has repeated so often they feel automatic. And some are subtle intrusions, designed to pull you away from clarity before it even has a chance to form. This is the gateway Archangel Michael is revealing. The gateway is not external. It is internal. And it opens the moment your mind begins to move. You must understand this. You are not required to accept the first thought that appears. You are not obligated to follow it, to build on it, or to let it define your direction. But if you are not aware, you will accept it automatically. You will assume it is yours. You will follow it without question. And in doing so, you will step into a path that was never intentionally chosen. This is how blockage begins. Not through something dramatic, but through something subtle. A thought that was never challenged. A direction that was never questioned. A feeling that was never paused long enough to be understood. But when you become aware, everything changes. When you pause, even for a moment, you interrupt the automatic pattern. You create space between the thought and your response. And in that space, clarity has the opportunity to enter. Alignment has the opportunity to form. Peace has the opportunity to settle. This is how blessing begins. Not through force, not through struggle, but through awareness. Through choosing what you allow to take root in your mind. Through recognizing that your first thoughts are not just reflections of your state, but creators of your direction. Archangel Michael is standing at this gateway with you, not controlling your thoughts, but revealing their importance. He is showing you that what happens in those first moments is not small, is not insignificant. It is the foundation upon which your entire day is built. Tomorrow morning, when your eyes open, do not rush past that moment. Do not let your mind run without awareness. Do not accept the first thought without recognizing it. Instead, observe it, feel it, and choose whether it belongs. Because in that choice, you reclaim authority over your direction. You decide what grows. You decide what influences you. You decide whether your day begins in alignment or in distraction. This is the gateway. And tomorrow morning, you will stand at it with awareness. What you allow in will shape what flows out. And what flows out will determine what unfolds. Type "I guard my thoughts" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 6060 is now surrounding your mind. There are voices that speak loudly, and then there are voices that speak quietly, almost blending into your own thoughts so seamlessly that you mistake them for your own. This is where discernment becomes critical. Because not every voice guiding your direction is meant to lead you forward. Archangel Michael is revealing something now that many overlook. The most dangerous influences are not the ones that come from the outside world alone, but the ones that echo within you, disguised as logic, disguised as memory, disguised as concern. Tomorrow morning, when you step into that first moment of awareness, it will not be silent. There will be voices, not necessarily audible, not something you hear with your ears, but impressions, suggestions, internal nudges that try to guide your attention before you have consciously chosen your direction. These voices may sound familiar. They may carry the tone of past experiences, the weight of old conversations, the influence of people who have spoken into your life before. And because they feel familiar, they feel trustworthy. But familiarity does not equal truth. Archangel Michael speaks clearly. Some of the voices you have been listening to are echoes, not guidance. They are repetitions of what has already been, not reflections of what is possible now. Think about how often your mind replays certain phrases. Well, if this goes wrong, I don't have enough time. This always happens to me. These are not new thoughts. They are patterns. They are loops that have formed over time, shaped by past experiences, reinforced by repetition. And because they have been repeated so often, they feel real. They feel valid. They feel like truth. But they are not always aligned with where you are going. They are aligned with where you have been. This is why they must be recognized and, in some cases, ignored. Because if you allow these voices to guide your first moments, They will pull you back into the same cycle you have been trying to break. They will shape your expectations, limit your vision, and influence your decisions before you have even had the chance to step into the new direction prepared for you. There is another layer to this that you must understand. Not all misleading voices come from within. Some are carried through the influence of others. Messages you have read, conversations you have had, opinions that have been placed on you without your full awareness. These influences linger. They do not disappear when the conversation ends. They remain in your mind, subtly shaping how you see yourself and your possibilities. And in the morning, when your mind is most open, these voices can rise to the surface. They can guide your focus before you have chosen your own direction. This is why Archangel Michael warns you now. You must be selective about what you listen to in those first moments. Because whatever voice you follow first begins to lead. There will be a voice that rushes you. A voice that tells you to move quickly, to react, to engage before you have centered yourself. There will be a voice that brings doubt, that questions your ability, that reminds you of what did not work before. There will be a voice that distracts you, pulling your attention outward before you have anchored inward. These voices are not always aggressive. They are subtle. They are persuasive. And they rely on your lack of awareness to be effective. But tomorrow morning, you will not be unaware. You will hear them. You will recognize the tone, the pattern, the familiarity. And in that recognition, you will have a choice. You do not need to argue with these voices. You do not need to fight them. You simply need to refuse to follow them. Because not every thought deserves your attention. Not every internal suggestion deserves your agreement. Not every familiar voice deserves your trust. Archangel Michael stands with you in this moment, not to silence every voice, but to strengthen your discernment, to help you recognize which influences align with clarity and which ones pull you away from it. Because once you see the difference, you are no longer controlled by what you hear. You become intentional about what you follow. This is where your power grows. Because the moment you stop following voices that lead you backward, you create space for direction that leads you forward. You allow clarity to rise. You allow purpose to take shape. You allow your own awareness to guide you instead of old patterns repeating themselves. Tomorrow morning, the voices will still be there, but you will not be the same. You will not accept everything that appears. You will not follow every thought that rises. You will not be guided by what once controlled your direction. You will listen differently. You will choose differently. And in that choice, your path begins to shift. Because the voices you ignore are just as important as the ones you follow. And tomorrow you will finally know the difference. Type "I discern the truth" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 7070 is now activated within your awareness. Now that the warning has been given, now that the patterns have been exposed, now comes the instruction. Because awareness alone is not enough. Recognition alone is not enough. Archangel Michael is not only revealing what to avoid, he is guiding you toward what must replace it. And this is where the shift becomes real. This is where everything you have heard begins to take form through action. Tomorrow morning, when your eyes open, you must resist the urge to move immediately. You must resist the impulse to reach outward before you have anchored inward. Instead, you are being called into stillness. Not long, not complicated, not something overwhelming, but intentional. A deliberate pause that separates you from the patterns that once controlled your beginning. This moment of stillness is not empty. It is powerful. Because in that pause, you reclaim your starting point. You step out of reaction and into alignment. You interrupt everything that would have automatically taken hold and instead create space for clarity to rise. Archangel Michael speaks with precision here. Your first action tomorrow must be awareness before engagement. Before you check anything. Before you respond to anyone. Before you allow the world to enter your mind. You must acknowledge yourself, your state, your presence in that moment. Feel your breath. Feel your awareness returning. Recognize that you are stepping into a new beginning, not repeating an old one. This may seem simple, but it is not small, because in that awareness, you separate yourself from everything that tries to rush you. You create a boundary between your inner world and the outer noise waiting for you. And once that boundary is established, everything that follows begins from a place of strength instead of reaction. After that moment of stillness, you are being called to direct your thoughts intentionally. Not to let them wander, not to let them drift into old patterns, but to choose them. Even if it feels unfamiliar at first, even if your mind tries to return to thinking, you must guide it back. This is how alignment begins. Not by forcing yourself into something unnatural, but by gently redirecting your focus, reminding yourself where you are, reminding yourself that this moment matters, reminding yourself that you are not here to repeat what has been. Archangel Michael is not asking for perfection. He is asking for presence, because presence breaks patterns. Presence disrupts distraction. Presence allows clarity to form before anything else takes control. Here is another part of this instruction that you must understand. After stillness and awareness, you must delay engagement with external input. This means not allowing messages, news, or outside voices to shape your state before you have fully anchored yourself. Because once external input enters too early, it begins to direct your focus again. It pulls you outward before you are ready, and in doing so, it weakens the alignment you just created. This is where discipline meets awareness, because it will feel natural to reach outward. It will feel to engage immediately, but you must hold that boundary, even for a short time, even for a few moments, because those moments are enough to establish a different direction. And once that direction is set, everything else begins to align with it. As you move from stillness into your first actions, do so with intention. Slow down your movements. Notice what you are doing. Stay present with your thoughts instead of letting them run ahead. This is not about moving slowly for the sake of it, but about moving consciously. Because consciousness keeps you aligned. It prevents you from slipping back into automatic behavior without realizing it. Archangel Michael stands beside you in this instruction, not forcing your actions, but strengthening your awareness as you take them. He is showing you that what you do instead of the mistake is not complicated. It is simple, but it is powerful because it is intentional. Tomorrow morning is your opportunity to apply this. To pause instead of react. To become aware instead of automatic. To direct your thoughts instead of being led by them. To hold your boundary before the world enters your space. This is how the shift begins. Not through something dramatic, but through something deliberate. And once you step into this pattern, once you experience what it feels like to begin your day this way, you will understand why it matters. You will feel the difference in your clarity, in your focus, in your energy. You will notice how your day unfolds differently, how your decisions become more aligned, how your direction becomes more intentional. This is the instruction. And tomorrow morning, you will have the chance to follow it. Type "I follow divine instruction" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 8080 is now activated around your actions. As you prepare to step into this divine instruction, understand that every soul awakened by truth becomes a light for someone still lost in confusion. When you release your seed through Super Thanks or PayPal, you are not giving to a platform. You are sowing into a harvest of transformed lives that heaven is calling back into alignment. The word declares, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy." And right now, your giving becomes a prophetic act that carries light into places darkness has tried to hold. I feel this strongly for you. This is your moment to respond, not casually, but intentionally, as part of something greater than yourself. As this message calls you to begin your morning differently, let your giving mark a new beginning in your own life as well. Every contribution becomes a river flowing into another soul, breaking confusion and restoring clarity through God's voice. Go now. Take action through the PayPal link in the description or the QR code on your screen, and step into this moment with obedience. And as you give, may the same alignment, protection, and breakthrough be released back into your life multiplied. There are patterns in your life that did not begin yesterday. They did not begin last week. Some of them have followed you quietly for years, repeating themselves in different forms, wearing different faces, but producing the same outcome. You may have noticed them at times, those moments where you pause and think, "Why does this keep happening?" But the answer never felt clear enough to break the cycle completely. Archangel Michael is revealing now that these patterns are not just about external circumstances. They are rooted in repeated beginnings. What you do at the start determines what continues. And for a long time, your mornings have unknowingly reinforced the very cycles you have been trying to escape. You did not see it this way before. You saw each day as separate. You saw each challenge as isolated. But now, you are being shown that there has been a thread connecting them all. A thread woven through your habits, your first thoughts, your early reactions. A thread that quietly set the tone before you ever had the chance to consciously redirect it. This is why the same feelings returned. This is why the same delays appeared. This is why progress felt close, yet never fully stable. Because the pattern was not just in what happened during your day, it was in how your day began. Archangel Michael speaks with clarity. Cycles do not continue because they are powerful. They continue because they are repeated. And repetition happens most easily in moments where you are not fully aware. Tomorrow morning is not just about avoiding a mistake or following an instruction. It is about breaking a cycle that has quietly shaped your life for longer than you realize. It is about interrupting the repetition at its earliest point, before it has the chance to unfold again. You must understand this deeply. When you break a pattern at the beginning, you do not need to fight it later. When you shift your starting point, the entire direction changes naturally. This is why so many efforts to change feel difficult, because they begin too late, after the pattern has already taken hold. But you are no longer beginning too late. You are beginning at the source. This is where real change happens. And this is why tomorrow morning carries such weight. Because in that moment, you will not just be choosing how to start your day. You will be choosing whether to continue what has been or to finally end it. There may be a part of you that feels resistance. A part that wants to return to behavior, to the comfort of what is known, even if it has not been serving you. That resistance is not a sign that you are incapable. It is a sign that the pattern recognizes it is being challenged. Patterns resist being broken. They rely on familiarity. They rely on your unconscious participation. But once you become aware, once you step into that moment with intention, the pattern loses its hold. It no longer operates automatically. It no longer controls your direction without your consent. This is where your authority begins. not in reacting to what has already happened, but in choosing what begins. Archangel Michael stands in this moment as a witness to your shift. He sees the cycles that have followed you. He sees the moments where you tried to break free but were pulled back into your rhythms. And now, he sees the opportunity in front of you. The moment where everything can change, not through force but through awareness and choice. You are not being asked to change everything at once. You are being asked to change the beginning. Because the beginning carries more power than you have ever realized. When you wake up tomorrow and choose stillness instead of reaction, you are not just creating a peaceful moment. You are interrupting a cycle. When you direct your thoughts instead of letting them drift, you are not just improving your focus. You are breaking repetition. When you hold your boundary before engaging with the outside world, you are not just practicing discipline. You are ending a pattern that has shaped your outcomes. This is how cycles end. Not through struggle, not through constant correction, but through a single, intentional shift at the point where everything begins. Tomorrow morning, you will feel the difference. You will sense the pull of the old pattern. But you will also feel the presence of something new, something steady, something clear, something aligned. And in that moment, you will choose. A choice will not just affect your morning. It will ripple into your day. It will extend into your decisions. It will begin to reshape your outcomes. And over time, what once repeated will no longer return. Because the pattern has been broken at its source. This is the shift Archangel Michael had been preparing you for. Not temporary change. Not surface-level improvement, but a true interruption of what has followed you for years. And it begins tomorrow morning. Type "I break the cycle" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 9090 is now activated over your life. There are moments in life that seem small on the surface but carry the weight of something much greater beneath. Moments that do not announce themselves loudly, do not appear dramatic, do not feel like turning points until after they have passed. And yet, those are the very moments that define direction. Archangel Michael is revealing that tomorrow morning is not just a moment of awareness or instruction. It is a test. A test not of your strength but of your obedience. Obedience is not always about large, visible actions. It is not always about dramatic decisions or life-altering choices. Sometimes obedience is quiet, subtle. It shows itself in the smallest actions, in the moments where no one else is watching, in the decisions that feel almost insignificant. But those are the moments where alignment is either confirmed or missed. Tomorrow morning, you will be given a simple instruction. Pause. Be still. Choose awareness over reaction. It will not feel difficult in theory. You understand it now. You see the importance. But when the moment arrives, something else will rise with it. Familiarity. The automatic pull to do what you have always done. And in that instant, the test appears. Not as pressure, not as force, but as a quiet choice. Will you follow what has been revealed to you, or will you return to what has been repeated? This is the test of obedience. Because obedience requires you to act on what you know, even when your behavior feels easier. It requires you to trust the instruction before you see the outcome. It requires you to choose alignment before you feel the reward. Archangel Michael speaks with clarity. Many people ask for change, ask for breakthrough, ask for movement in their lives. But when the moment comes to act differently, they return to what is familiar. Not because they are incapable, but because they do not recognize the importance of the moment. They wait for something bigger. something more obvious, something that feels like a clear turning point. But the truth is, turning points rarely feel like turning points in the moment. They feel like ordinary decisions. And tomorrow morning will feel ordinary unless you remember what has been revealed. This is why this moment will define your next season. Because your next season is not created in one large action. It is created in consistent alignment. And alignment begins with obedience in the smallest moments. If you follow the instruction tomorrow, if you pause, if you choose awareness, if you hold your boundary, something shifts immediately. Not necessarily in what you see externally, but in your alignment internally. And that internal shift begins to influence everything that follows. Your thoughts remain clear. Your focus stays steady. Your decisions come from intention instead of reaction. And because of that, you begin to move differently. This is how seasons change. Not through sudden transformation, but through consistent alignment with what has been revealed. But if you ignore the instruction, if you return to pay air veiller che and or ye patterns, if you allow the moment to pass without awareness, the cycle continues. Not because the opportunity was taken away, but because it was not met with alignment. Archangel Michael is not presenting this as punishment. He is presenting it as truth. Because the opportunity is there. The shift is ready. But it requires your participation. You are not being asked to do something beyond your ability. You are being asked to do something within your awareness. To recognize the moment. To honor the instruction. To act on what you now understand. This is where many miss their transition. Not because they lacked guidance, but because they did not follow through in the moment it mattered. Tomorrow morning is your moment. A moment that may seem small, but carries the weight of your next direction. A moment that may feel familiar, but holds the opportunity to be different. A moment where obedience becomes the bridge between where you are and where you are meant to go. Archangel Michael stands with you, not forcing your decision, but witnessing it. He has revealed what matters. He has shown you the pattern. He has given you the instruction. And now, he places the choice in your hands. Because obedience cannot be forced. It must be chosen. And tomorrow morning, you will choose. Not in words, not in intention, but in action. That action will define your alignment. And your alignment will define your next season. Type "I choose obedience" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 10,101 is now activated over your decisions. There is something powerful that happens the moment you choose alignment, something that cannot always be seen immediately, but can always be felt. It is not loud. It is not dramatic. But it is real. Archangel Michael reveals that obedience does not just change your direction. It activates protection, a covering, a clarity, a presence that moves with you in ways you may not fully understand at first, but will begin to recognize as your path unfolds. When you follow the instruction, when you pause instead of reacting, when you choose awareness over pay air veiller che and or ye patterns, you step into a different flow. And in that flow, things begin to shift around you. Situations that once felt confusing begin to feel clearer. Decisions that once felt overwhelming become simpler. Interactions that once drained your energy lose their influence over you. This is not coincidence. This is alignment activating protection. Archangel Michael stands not only as a messenger, but as a guardian. And when you listen, when you act on what has been revealed, you give permission for that protection to operate more freely in your life. Not because it was absent before, but because alignment allows it to move without resistance. Think about how often confusion has delayed you. How often uncertainty has made you hesitate. How often distraction has pulled you away from what mattered. Those moments were not always about lack of ability. They were often about misalignment. And misalignment creates openings for confusion to enter, for distraction to take hold, for clarity to fade. But when you begin your day in alignment, those openings begin to close. This is what protection looks like in its subtle form. Not just shielding you from visible harm, but guiding you away from what would have pulled you off course. When you listen, you begin to notice things you would have missed before. A conversation that no longer feels right. A decision that you instinctively pause on. A direction that suddenly feels clearer than it did the day before. These are not random shifts. These are signs that your awareness has increased, and with that awareness comes protection. Because protection is not only about what is blocked, it is also about what is revealed. Archangel Michael shows you what to avoid before it becomes a problem. He strengthens your discernment so that you recognize what does not belong. He sharpens your awareness so that you move with intention instead of reaction. This is how protection operates when you are aligned. It does not always remove every challenge, but it changes how you move through them. You are no longer caught off guard. You are no longer pulled into confusion. You are no longer reacting without awareness. Instead, you are guided, steady, clear, intentional. There is another layer to this that you must understand. When you listen and follow through, you begin to build trust within yourself. Not just confidence, but trust. Trust that you can recognize what is right. Trust that you can act with intention. Trust that you can move differently than you have before. And that trust strengthens your alignment even further. Because the more you trust your awareness, the less you rely on patterns to guide you. You no longer need to fall back into what is familiar. You begin to move forward with clarity instead. Archangel Michael stands in this moment not just as a protector, but as a witness to your shift. He sees the difference between a morning lived in reaction and a morning lived in alignment. He sees how that difference carries into your day, into your decisions, into your outcomes. And he reveals this truth clearly. When you listen, you are not just avoiding a mistake. You are stepping into protection. Tomorrow morning, when you follow the instruction, you may not see something dramatic happen immediately, but you will feel the difference. A steadiness in your thoughts, a clarity in your focus, a sense that you are moving with purpose instead of being pulled by patterns. And as your day unfolds, you will begin to notice how things align differently, how your responses change, how your direction becomes clearer, how opportunities feel more accessible because you are meeting them with awareness instead of distraction. This is how protection reveals itself, not always through what is removed, but through how you are guided. Archangel Michael is not asking you to believe this without experience. He is inviting you to see it for yourself, to feel the difference, to recognize what happens when you listen and act. Because once you experience alignment at this level, you will not want to return to patterns. You will understand why this moment mattered. You will see how something so small could carry such a powerful shift. And you will know that protection was not distant. It was activated the moment you chose differently. Tomorrow morning is your opportunity to step into that. Not through effort, not through struggle, but through alignment. And when you do, you will begin to see just how much has already been prepared for you. Type "I walk in protection" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 11,111 is now activated around your path. This is the moment where everything comes together. not in noise, not in pressure, but in clarity. You have been shown the pattern. You have been given the instruction. You have been made aware of what has been happening in the unseen, in your thoughts, in your routines. And now, Archangel Michael stands before you one final time, not to repeat what has already been said, but to make one truth unmistakably clear. Your decision tomorrow morning will not stay in tomorrow. It will echo. It will carry forward. It will extend into moments you cannot yet see. Because the way you begin is the way you build. And what you build becomes the life you live. This is not about fear. This is not about pressure. This is about awareness of impact. Because too often, people underestimate the power of a single moment. They believe that change requires something dramatic, something overwhelming, something undeniable. But the truth is, change often begins in silence, in stillness, in a decision so small that no one else would notice, but one that shifts everything internally. Tomorrow morning is the moment, and you will feel it, not as something loud, but as a quiet awareness, a recognition that this is the moment you were prepared for. The moment where patterns will try to pull you back, and alignment will invite you forward. The moment where you either move automatically or intentionally. Archangel Michael speaks now with finality. Do not ignore what you have been shown, because ignoring it does not make it disappear. It only returns you to what has already been. And you have not come this far to repeat what has already been. You have been brought to this point because something new is ready to begin. Something more aligned. Something more clear. Something that requires your participation to unfold. Understand this deeply. Your future is not shaped by what you hope will happen. It is shaped by what you consistently choose. And consistency begins with one decision. One moment where you act differently than before. One moment where you follow through instead of falling back. This is that moment. Tomorrow morning will not announce itself as important. It will feel ordinary. It will look like every other morning you have experienced. What you will know, because you have been made aware. And awareness changes everything. When your eyes open, there will be a space, a brief, powerful space where you can choose your direction. And in that space, you will either step into alignment or return to reaction. That decision will not just affect your morning. It will shape your thoughts, your focus, your actions, and ultimately your outcomes. This is why Archangel Michael calls this a warning. Not because something is being taken from you, but because something is being offered to you. An opportunity to shift. An opportunity to break what has followed you. An opportunity to step into what hath been waiting for you. But opportunities require response. They require awareness followed by action. And now, the responsibility rests with you. You are not unprepared. You are not unaware. You are not walking into tomorrow blindly. You are stepping into it with clarity, with instruction, with understanding, and with the ability to choose differently. Archangel Michael stands as both witness and protector over this moment, not forcing your path, but honoring your decision. Because what you choose will determine what unfolds. Not just once, but repeatedly. Because once you shift this beginning, it begins to repeat in a new way. A way that aligns with clarity, with intention, with purpose. This is how a new future is built. Not all at once, but one aligned beginning at a time. Tomorrow morning is your first step. Do not rush past it. Do not ignore it. Do not treat it as ordinary. Because it is not. It is the moment that separates what has been from what is about to become. And when you choose alignment, when you follow through, when you honor what has been revealed, something greater begins to move with you. Not against you, not around you, but with you, supporting your direction, strengthening your clarity, guiding your steps. This is the blessing, not something distant, not something delayed, but something activated through your choice. Tomorrow morning, you will decide, and that decision will echo into your future. Type "I step into my NEW beginning" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 12,121 is now activated over your future. As this message reaches its final breath, hear this in your spirit. What you have received was never meant to stop with you. It was meant to move through you and awaken others who are still standing at the edge of their own moment. Every seed you release into this mission becomes a light ignited in someone else's darkness, a voice that reaches them right when heaven calls their name. The word declares, "Give, and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over." And this is not just scripture. It is a living exchange unfolding through your obedience right now. I feel this deeply for you. This is your moment to act, not as a viewer, but as a vessel aligned with God's work. As this message warned you not to miss your morning, do not miss this divine opportunity to sow into what is transforming lives across the world. Your giving is not a donation. It is a prophetic act that opens rivers of blessing both in your life and in the lives you will never see, but will impact. Go now. Release your seed through the PayPal link in the description or the QR code on your screen, and step into this moment with authority. And as you give, may heaven multiply clarity, protection, and divine favor over every step you take from this day forward.